All right, welcome back into Market Day Report. I'm Scott Shellady, otherwise known as the Cow Guy. Thank you very much for tuning us in on a Thursday. We call it Friday Eve, just to keep our spirits high. Let's take a look and see if these markets are keeping our spirits high. Let's take a look at corn. Let's go right to it. And we've got a corn board that's going to show us that. It's kind of mixed, right? We've got some demand up front, but not in the back. May's up 4.5 cents to 476.5. July's up 3.5 cents to 482 3/4. But as you go out the deferreds, we actually lose a little bit of real estate. Diesel is down 0.5 cent to 454. How about that? All right, let's see what the soybeans have got for us, and it's not quite similar, but inching that way. We've got a 4.5% gain in May to 1044 3/4. May beans 1044 3/4. As you go out the deferreds all the way out to November, well, that's sharply unchanged, 1027.5. So you can see that moving towards that corn board a little bit. Let's take a look and see what wheat in Chicago's got. 2 1/4 to 3 cents off across the board. We're 2 1/4 cents lower in the May to 526 even. We've got a 2.5 cent lower board in July to 541. But if you go out to say even the Dees, that's off 3 cents there to 577 1/4. Dees Chicago wheat 577 1/4. Let's take a look at the hard red wheat in Kansas City. That's down 3 3/4 cents in May. 534 is last 3 cents from the lows. A full 8 3/4, almost 9 cents from the highs. Just to give you a little reference there, 3 1/4 cents lower in the July. 547 is last, and if you move out to Dees, that's down 3 1/4 cents to 585. Dees hard red wheat. All right, moving over to the spring wheat in Minneapolis. 2 1/4 cents lower there in that May contract to 589 1/4. July's off 2 1/4 cents to 604 3/4. While the Dees, that's off a couple of pennies, 2 cents lower. 639 1/4 is last in Dees spring wheat. Let's get the cotton going here, and we'll get to our guest analyst. Down 208 points in that May contract, 66.67, while the other ones are just slightly better on the day. Dees is up 32 pennies, or 32 points, I should say. 70.29 is last there. That's going to be cotton. Let's bring in our next guest analyst, Mr. Kevin Stockard. He's with CHS. Kevin, thanks for being on. What do you got for us today? What's top of mind?
Yeah, well, you kind of hit on it there. The spreads are pretty strong, so we're thinking there might be some business going on at these levels. Obviously, we saw pretty good corn export sales, 1.1 million, and the beans we saw China continuing to buy a little bit. They bought another cargo this week, so interesting to see them still in the market. In the beans, it's now 7 out of the last 8 days, I believe, that we've been around the 200-day moving average. Looked like we might break it yesterday. We're above it right now, so we'll see. If it can settle above it, that would be, even if we're only up 3 or 4 cents, that would be pretty interesting to finally settle above that. In the bean complex, we've got soybean oil up 75 points. The industry group that they put together to advise the administration on policy and the RFS mandate met yesterday. They're still suggesting a really large increase. So that's got the bean oil market and industry feeling positive today. They're expecting a RFS mandate still by the end of the month, I believe. So we'll continue to watch that. Obviously, any other headlines, and that's pretty much what we got today.
What are your thoughts on the currency, the U.S. dollar index? I mean, we've seen it come steaming off here as of late, but it's kind of found its feet the last couple of days. Any thoughts on if that's helping any of the front month demand?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's some seasonality to part of it. The soybeans were not really going to be big players in the exports right now anyways. We had net negative wheat export sales, so even with the currency right now, we're not really competitive there. So it's more of a, keep it in mind for down the road as we start to be more active in the export markets. But yes, I mean, the bond market's really interesting to watch for the dollar too, as the longer term rates keep going higher.
I sure do. All right, great stuff as usual. Really appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much. Kevin Stockard, he's with CHS. We're with RFD-TV, and we're going to go away. We're going to pay some bills. We're going to come back and talk more livestock. Right after this.